Before this story begins, take a second to imagine a room full of strangers, holiday lights glowing softly, and one small moment that changes several lives forever. If stories that warm your heart matter to you, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end, because what starts as a simple Christmas dinner becomes a reminder that kindness is a language everyone understands. The night Eleanor Reed almost skipped the Christmas charity dinner, snow was already frosting the city streets. She stood in her penthouse doorway, coat in hand, watching her daughter Lily carefully button her red sweater. Lily was 10, bright-eyed, and profoundly deaf since birth. Eleanor was the CEO of a fast-growing tech company, respected, feared, admired, but at home, she was just a mother who worried constantly. Events like this were exhausting. People stared. They spoke too fast. They forgot Lily couldn't hear. Eleanor often felt like she was fighting the world alone. Lily looked up and signed, her movements neat and hopeful, asking if there would be dessert. Eleanor smiled, signing back that she hoped so. That smile was real, but fragile. Since Lily's father passed away years ago, every holiday felt heavier. Eleanor promised herself she'd show up for Lily no matter how uncomfortable it was. So she took a breath, took Lily's hand, and stepped into the cold. The charity dinner was held in a grand hotel ballroom, all chandeliers and polished silver. Executives, donors, and community leaders filled the space with laughter and overlapping conversations. Eleanor felt eyes flick toward her, toward Lily. Some smiles were warm, some were curious, some were pitying. Lily squeezed her hand, sensing the shift, and Eleanor bent down to reassure her, signing that everything was okay. They were led to a large round table near the center. Across from them sat a man in a simple dark sweater, his hair slightly messy, a small crease of worry etched between his brows. Beside him was a young boy, maybe 8, who was nervously folding his napkin into shapes. The man noticed Lily staring and smiled, not the polite smile adults often gave children, but a genuine one. Then, to Eleanor's surprise, he raised his hands and signed a simple greeting to Lily. Lily's face lit up like the Christmas lights strung around the room. She signed back quickly, her hands moving with excitement. Eleanor froze for a moment, stunned. It had been months since Lily met someone new who could sign without awkward pauses or exaggerated gestures. The man laughed softly, not at her, but with her, and continued signing, asking her name, telling her his son loved snow too. Eleanor introduced herself, speaking aloud while signing at the same time. The man told her his name was Daniel Moore. He was a single dad, he said, a school counselor by day. He learned sign language after his wife died. Their son, Noah, lost most of his hearing after an illness. Daniel explained it calmly, without drama, as if love had simply demanded he learn a new way to listen. Throughout dinner, Lily barely touched her food. She was too busy talking. For once, Eleanor didn't have to translate every word or watch Lily withdraw. Lily laughed silently, shoulders shaking, eyes bright. Noah joined in, sometimes speaking, sometimes signing clumsily, and Daniel gently corrected him with patience and pride. Eleanor felt something unfamiliar loosen in her chest. As speeches began and donors applauded, Eleanor's mind drifted. She watched Daniel help Lily understand what was happening, signing summaries of the speeches, explaining jokes she missed. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He wasn't performing kindness. He was simply present. Later, when a guest leaned over and spoke too loudly to Lily, exaggerating words, Eleanor stiffened, ready to intervene. Before she could, Daniel calmly signed to Lily what the woman meant, then gently corrected the guest, explaining Lily could read lips but preferred signing. The woman flushed, apologized, and moved on. Daniel didn't make a scene. He didn't make Lily feel small. For the first time in a long while, Eleanor didn't feel alone in the room. After dinner, as guests mingled, Lily tugged at Eleanor's sleeve, signing that she didn't want to leave yet. Eleanor laughed softly and agreed to stay a little longer. Daniel suggested they walk near the window where a small Christmas tree stood. Noah showed Lily an ornament shaped like a star, and Lily signed that stars were her favorite because they shined even in darkness. Daniel watched that exchange quietly. He later told Eleanor that holidays used to hurt the most after his wife passed. He worried Noah would grow up feeling different, isolated. Learning sign language, he said, was the hardest and best thing he'd ever done. It taught him to slow down, to listen with his eyes, To love more deliberately. Eleanor admitted she often hid behind her work. Being strong was easier in boardrooms than in school meetings or playgrounds where Lily felt left out. She confessed how tired she was, how scared she was of failing her daughter. Daniel didn't offer solutions. He simply listened. Snow fell heavier outside as the evening wound down. When it was time to leave, Lily hugged Daniel without hesitation. She hugged Noah too, signing that she hoped to see them again. Daniel smiled at Eleanor, warmth in his eyes, and said the words she hadn't realized she needed to hear, "You're doing great." Weeks passed, but the memory of that night lingered. Eleanor found herself thinking of Daniel during long meetings and quiet mornings. Lily asked about him often. They met again, by chance at first, then intentionally. Sometimes at the park, sometimes at the library. There were challenges, busy schedules, grief that hadn't fully healed, fears of getting close. Eleanor struggled with letting someone into the carefully controlled world she built. Daniel worried about overstepping, about bringing change into his son's life too fast.